this series. So I wouldn't be surprised if that man in the mid lane is able to replicate a similar performance this time around, going 5-3-7 in that game too. As now Game Ward toying with their top lane pick. Are we going to see the GP? Haven't seen it so far this series, and we're not seeing it from our team on the red side, actually locking in the Swain alongside the Gnar.
Okay, so they match mid lane and they take themselves a safe, stable top lane pick for it. We have to see if Cabo is just going to default back to his picks of choice. The Jace into the Gnar has been his choice. It was not enough in the last game, but was in game number 2 to cement them a victory. But they could be trying to go with a different route. I think whenever you see a Swain, you tend to want to pick long-range champions. Ari can default into a more passive playstyle, but loves to go forward. And it looks like Carmine Corp are going to play right into the hands of their strength and also the strength of a Swain. Short range so far, melee for Gwen in the top side. The other answer that I've seen into the Gnar.
Yeah, I think the key thing is, though, is that we're most likely going to be seeing Checker Lad on the Swain unless we're seeing some weird shenanigans. And your job as the Swain is to stand in front of your team, is to block off one entrance to a team fight from the opponents so they can't get on top of you, but you can keep going, keep dealing the damage. If a Gwen finds herself on the back line, well, Swain can't block off 2 entrances at once, so maybe if Cabochard can get a bit creative in terms of his TPs, there's something there for Carmine.
And they take the Zeri as well. Inax has been playing this one a couple times if he's not needed to bust out the Sivir. But it is going to be this time secured for Reckless and gives him a lot of late game agency once again on the Firefly in the bot lane. Lee Sin picked up for Game Warden. Now they've cemented themselves with a very good early game skirmishing composition. Yeah. One that really can tussle with anything that Carmine Corp look to offer. Potential for the likes of a Jarvan, a Viego still open for Game Ward. The Xin Zhao, of course, a champion that we may well expect to see. And Poppy was the ban that Carmine Corp, I believe, dropped. It didn't get at all in the first set of picks. And Game Ward, I think, sort of quite happy about that one and going to take it off the ban table very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, that champion is just way too good right now. So I'm not surprised that these teams are opting to not face it rather than picking it away. Lucian, actually, a ban that we don't really see a lot of the time, but sort of indexing into preventing Inax and Camilius from having a matchup in the bot lane that is really going to pressurize this Zeri.
Now we get to sort of see what picks they'll be able to hop into. Obviously, getting the Lucian taken off the board, another very strong early game champion. The Tristana potentially also going to hit that ban table would certainly be key. Like I say, currently still a lot of powerful early game champions that you can go for. The Draven still rings true to me, something that we could have seen versus the Sivir. But it's not going to be a second ban down on to that bot lane just yet. Game Ward with their bot lane still to pick. They can save counter pick for support. I think they just match ADC here.
Yeah, it would make the most sense. Like, really, a lot of bot lanes aren't too dependent on the AD carry pick. It's a lot more dictated by the support that you're going to be locking in alongside those carries. And if Zeri is a strong late game hyperscaling AD carry, I think Jinx is that, but just that little bit more.
I always like Jinx. Jinx, for me, the epitome of late game hyperscaling carries. And I know that our producer, Kay, today, she's going to be absolutely buzzing that Jinx gets locked in the LFL. Her favorite champion, so shout out for running the production as well. Certainly makes the appearance in the bot lane, and I expect this to be a very strong topside focus for Game Ward. With the Jinx being locked in, it's a champion that you can command push on in the early game using those rockets. You can pretty much offset anything that Carmine Corp are trying to do down in that bot side, and you can use the Lee Sin to play very heavily up to the top lane.
And I think the key thing for both of these teams that we've really seen them draft compositions that want to do very, very different things. Game Ward have kind of been all about the team fights, and if they're able to find those big 5v5s, they get Inax on a carry that can just rip through health bars. But Carmine Corp, especially with this Rakan locked in as well, are a little bit more concerned with splitting up these fights, having a load of isolated skirmishes where they can just overload with a few extra members, get picks, and then take over the rest of the play.
One thing I will say about Carmine Corp's composition is they look like a nuisance to try and kill, right?
Yeah.
Like, you try and pick off any single one of these. I'm looking at this as a jungler and thinking, I don't want to gank any of these lanes, right? I've got Gwen who's got the mist. Ari's got 3 different flashes on her ult. Xin Zhao's got, the can't be damaged. Zeri also very good at getting out to safety. Rakan, the same sort of thing. Game Ward going to struggle in the early game, I think, to get those single target ganks. But I think that if we see commitment from Carmine Corp, it could go a very different way, and expect Game Ward to be looking for that commitment from them. But Carmine Corp have also got the absolute frontline buy space technology. They have got Gwen is immune and then Crescent Guard. That is 6-7 seconds where we can just see Inax sipping pina coladas and sitting back, not being able to do damage, right? Like he can't do anything.
Yeah, absolutely nothing against that duo, but we'll have to see if he is able to find the DPS numbers. Game Ward on match point, potentially going to take down Carmine Corp in this game 4 in just a moment. And welcome onto the Rift for the 4th and potentially final time. If Carmine Corp want to keep their hopes of winning the LFL, their hopes of making it to EU Masters and defending their crown alive, they need to stand up to Game Ward in this game and then win one more after. The task is simple for Game Ward though. You kill Carmine Corp's Nexus in either this game or a potential 5th game, and you are the one claiming the spoils. Stacking as few members in this bot lane, maybe looking for a member of Carmine Corp overstepping, but no, just going to claim that early vision.
Tempered expectations for this early game for me, Middlecourt. I think that this could be a fairly slow one to start us out. Both of these AD carries in the bot side want a little bit of time to scale up. Both of our junglers kind of demand a little bit of early game as well. That early game aggression certainly can come through with a Lee Sin with a Trundle, particularly when we see press the attack on 113 going to be largely focused around amplifying the damage of not just himself, but also the team. In case we forget, press the attack amplifies all damage sources, so helps out the Gwen, helps out the Ahri, trying to deal the damage. And also just a really nice mixed damage profile for Carmine Corp here. Actually, fairly magic damage oriented as well. Zeri's magic profile is about 60-40 between magic damage and physical damage respectively. So actually fairly decent itemization choices for Game Ward if they want. I would be surprised if Checo doesn't go for a more tanky route, potentially going for a Force of Nature. So we are seeing quite why the Gwen can counter the Gnar in the early stages. Quite simply, press E and auto attack, even in the minion wave. Cabochard comes out on top of that trade.
And this has been fairly sort of par for the course in the last few games. Cabochard getting the counter pick in top lane and able to put Melonic a little bit to the sword in the early stages, but we've seen how massive the Gnar ultimates coming out of the Game Ward top laner can be, especially in that last game. So not going to be too concerned if he's dropping a little bit of CS in the early stages, as long as he's turning up to those team fights and landing those massive, massive stuns.
Yeah, and you can see both of the top laners giving a little bit of respect over to one another. The Doran shields start on both sides, not wanting to get poked out too much. Melonic also opting into the fleet footwork to give his laning phase a little bit more staying power also. Cabo not going to fall prey to the early gank as Akabane and 113 meet in the river.
Not going to precipitate into anything more, as actually Chekalad caught out. Flash is going to be forced away as 113 not quite able to chase down the Game Ward mid laner, and Akabane gets away as well.
Akabane did a very fast level 3 clear, was maybe looking to use the bot lane advantage to go for an invade, but 113 scouts him out very early on in the river and denies that window. Really smart pathing by the Carmine Corp jungler prevents any misfortunes befalling him, and they also burn the flash and teleport of Chekolad in the mid lane. This mid matchup has certainly given us quite a lot to look at. It is currently Checo who's, better end of his HP pool, but that teleport certainly cheating it. Needs a little bit of help from Camilius though to push this wave all the way in.
And Rude, I kind of want to zoom out on what this game means. Not just in terms of who's going to progress onto what, but also just culturally within the LFL. Carmine Corp, ever since they came into the league, have been dominant. They have never finished below 3rd in the playoffs or in the regular split until this summer. Now potentially not even going to make EU Masters if Game Ward are able to just get one more last hit on their Nexus. Honestly, it would be disastrous for this organization.
And to talk about the other side of the coin, reminder, Game Ward, very developmental organization for this season into 2022. They built this roster and they made no changes from spring to summer after a 7th place finish in spring. Them finishing in playoffs alone is an improvement, but winning this game...
Look at bot lane.
I'm top lane, it's everywhere, middle court.
There's action going to be happening on multiple parts of the map. First blood secured for Inax. We'll have a look at that in a little bit as Malarkey is being chased down by multiple members of Carmine Corp and has no way of escaping from safe.
It doesn't burn the flash there, I quite like it. It's no summoner spells burned on either side, really. So it's a kill. The teleport likely going to be used by Melonic to get back to catch the tail end of this wave. Still gets a fair portion of it, actually, so not too hard done by. It is just a quick cash injection and actually a very good tempo stall from Melonic there. We get to see what happened down on this bot side, though. This was the gank from Camilla, stepping onto some chompers there. Reckless with a bit of a misstep. Inax flashing over. Doesn't block Zeri's E if you stand in front of it, but gets the damage down regardless. Akabane was there to try and shield, but not necessarily all of that needed. And of course, Melonic falling on that top side.
And the crazy thing for me is that was a 2v2 kill. Like, Akabane didn't get an assist on that, and so that just demonstrates that when you pull the trigger in this bot side, the Nautilus and Jinx just being a little bit more favored. And when you are playing a hyper-scaling AD carry like the Jinx, getting towards your itemization just that little bit earlier can be so impactful.
Certainly. The thing to look out for, reminder, we said both of these AD carries not necessarily demanding early game control, quite happy with their late game scaling, but the fact that if they get a little bit accelerated, if Inax reaches that 3-item mark a little bit ahead of the curve, you can start to take team fights a little bit earlier. It means that you can win these sort of engagements, win skirmishes around objectives earlier than you may have predicted you'd be able to. Game Mode with this positioning on the lane phase, again, it's similar to what we saw from Carmine Corp in the last game, where they were using the misfortune to bully and keep lane control where they wanted it. Game Ward doing a very similar thing right now as the wave unfortunately crashed on in, and Carmine Corp head toward the dragon.
Yeah, this mounted Drake, one of the Drakes that when you take it early doesn't offer you too much in terms of resistances, as Carmine Corp may actually pay for this one of their life as Hantera is forced to dash away. Get a route down onto 113 at the backside as Akabane is taken low. Another kill for Inax on the Jinx, and Reckless forced to flash away second, going back in, but gets hooked by Camillus. This is now a 3v3 as Hantera returning to the play, and the RE doesn't quite get the charm in time to save himself. Reckless dashing away as Hantera under the tower, taken so damn low, and Game Ward win out on the play.
But not quite low enough. Pantera able to limp away. I think that's just about one engagement for the Game Ward side in that bot lane river exchange. Really nice play for Game Ward. They lose out on the dragon, and as you mentioned early on, that doesn't mean all that much in terms of the resistances, and even as the game goes later, we're only really looking to the Trundle to be building those on up. That's how it all got started. Seiken not quite connecting on that charm and just hit the front line. That's all they go for, but Hantera with the battle dance buys a lot of space here. Takes Akabane all the way down deep, and an instant knock-up means that, yes, the Game Ward jungler falls, but 113 without Subjugate is not a big enough force in this front line, and obviously all that chip damage that went down on to Hantera meant he's not really going to be able to be a part of this fight. Seiken stepping just a little too far forward here. Checo reads him like a book as well, positioning himself to secure Flash and the third ultimate to still be able to pick up the kill.
And the crazy thing for me is that out of all the members of Carmine Corp that has been sort of Mr. Consistent, it is Seiken, and that dash in a little bit impetuous, a little bit over-aggressive, and rightfully punished by Game Ward.
Now they're going to try and leverage that small advantage into a topside play. The Rift Herald, their objective of choice. They do have first move from support, and I don't think there's going to be too much of a contest by the Carmine Corp squad. You can see them all pretty much bailing out on that bot lane, or bailing out on the top side. Not too interested by it. And small thing here, but great positioning by Inax. Just going to make sure that nothing really happens to him down in that bot lane. Needs to wait for a bit more support from his team to get back to his lane. Make sure that he's nowhere near source of danger. Carmine Corp are going to be able to push this wave in, but it should be caught quite nicely by the Game Ward AD carry.
Yeah, and again, it's more gold going over to Inax, and we saw how effectively he could use that in the last game. That pentakill on the Sivir, absolutely exceptional, and Jinx is another one of those champions that when you get the itemization, you get a reset in a fight, you can absolutely take things over. Camillus Hanging around this mid lane for a little bit. Has just dinged level 6, so now has access to that depth charge, but Seiken a little bit too far away.
Obviously with the Spirit Rush as well. Would likely just be burning that cooldown. It's not worth spending a lot of time there, particularly with so few objectives open to teams in these early stages. 2 minutes on the Cloud Dragon. We'll all be happy to hear we do not have a third Cloud Soul of the series. But for the time being, the laning phase continues. And in this series, at the very least, these extended laning phases have tended to favour Game Ward just a little bit. Unless, of course, Game 2, Carl Hancock's having the insane amount of early game control. But even in the tight, tense early stages, Game Ward, despite being able to draw wins from them, they were always just about finding the early leading advantages. As Inax now in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, a little bit lazy in terms of the pathing into the river. The Chomper's excellent onto Hantera's 113 flashing forward once again. The Ignite being dropped onto the Jinx, but the follow-up damage isn't there from Carmine Corp. The Super Mega Death Rocket doesn't quite take out the Trundle. It's Reckless trying to fire with those bursts, but not enough to take anyone out.
Okay, so Flash and not Heal burned by Inax, so still has one of those summon spells ready, but the Jinx now a lot more susceptible to getting taken down. If you get caught by a Hantera engagement, likelihood is you will fall if Carmine Corp have got the follow-up there ready to go. And Reckless just a little bit late to the play there with his jungle support duo. Maybe would have been able to take down Inax off the back of a nicely timed engagement, but not quite ready. Not quite there with the team, so a little bit delayed on the plane. It does allow Inax to get out to safety, and of course makes 113 a little bit low and worse for wear also. This is all set up around the second Drake then of that game. 40 seconds now till that one's ready. Final resets to be taken by the majority of the team. Akabane likely going to try and secure that Croak camp and either get a reset, try and finish off that Mythic, or head down to that bot side with the components that he's got to make the most of his time.
And I like this ward that we've just seen placed here from Reckless, not just because it allows you to do the Zeri W, the shock laser over the wall, but it also means that you're going to know how Inax is rotating, where he is moving. Melonic about to go Mega in the top lane and has got a little friend here in terms of Seiken. Flashes away from the charm. Be engaged for that Gnar off the board, but at least he keeps his life.
And importantly here, Seiken on the top side at the spawn of that dragon. He's going to TP back into the mid lane, and Checo Lad may just secure a plate very quickly off the back end of this. Does bot play?
Hantera, no level 6 for the Rakan, so doesn't feel comfortable going for that counter engage. No ultimates burnt crucially from the side of Game Ward, so they're going for the trade, but they don't use anything that they could use for this upcoming Drake.
Game Ward were a little slow here. When they see Seiken in the top lane, they could have gone straight for this Drake. 113 wants to contest. Snooping around in this river.
Yeah, Akabane does claim the Drake as Camillus flashes over the wall and doesn't quite connect with the dredge line. Might be Operation Get Out of there for Game Ward, but with 113 walking forward, they are happy to take the fight. The Trundle off the board, had Terra diving forward, but can't get the charm. It's another kill for Inax, and Reckless is dead as well in Game 4 on match point. Game Ward, come alive.
Huge fight for Game Ward around the dragon there. They were a little slow, but that was because they wanted to bait in Carmine Corp to the fight. Now they're going to give Inax plates and a lot of time to scale and to get back and get into a position where he can send Game Ward to EU Masters. Want to keep your eyes on Inax as this fight draws out. Such great spacing in this fight. Camillus, yes, he misses that initial engage, but Flame Chomper's down to stop Pantera from being able to find an engagement. Checo doing great work in this front line, and then as soon as 113 goes down, Pantera charges for Inax, but he can't find the timing, can't find that engagement, and just great attack move capabilities. Inax always on the edge of his range, and doesn't have to be on the edge of his range when he's looking at Reckless in a 4v1 situation. Can quite happily join the team and start to go huge.
Yeah, can we get a look at the gold observers? I want to see the difference between these two AD carries, because Inax is 1.5 thousand gold ahead. And I think the key thing, Rudu, is you've got this massive lead on your AD carry, but you're also looking at leads on other parts of the map. Yeah,
the other large lead that we're seeing right now is in that jungle role. Akabane has done a very good job at using this early game Lee Sin prio to generate advantages not only for himself, for the team also. We're looking at Inax for that point, about 1,500 gold up in the jungle department as well. A little less for full credence, but Akabane in a very good spot also in the game. Currently looking at this Lee Sin work, it is working out. I think that we don't see too frequently. When we do, we always put big trials, and now Seiken in trouble.
Yeah, 113 is here to help him out though, but multiple members of Game Order here as well. Hantera with a massive engage onto Camillus as the Nautilus is taken out, but the healing for the Swain is just too much. You cannot take him out as 113 falls down once again. Reckless joining the fight with the burst fire with the ultimate, forced to flash back though as he's still trying to like some damage into Chekalad, who is taking up an absolute storm on the front line. 1v4 on the Swain, but does get shut down.
Just not enough there, and even in the fight that should be entirely Carmine Corp favoured, they take a run for their money to get away with it. Inax on this top side is going to be quite happy with the gold he's just got injected into. Multiple waves, a turret as well. The Jinx funneling continues, and Game Ward now with a 2-item AD carry so early into the game. This is that fight that we see already. You can tell Game Ward numbers disadvantage, shouldn't really be looking for this fight, but Checo is such a monster on the Swain already. Rylai's is slowing everybody. This entire team fight. Melonic never able to get Mega, and the fact that this fight goes, honestly, as even as it does for so long, really does just worry me, because as soon as Inax starts joining these team fights, it's going to be so much further in Game Ward's favour. One auto attack, one death rocket in the myriad of ults that are going on right there, and Game Ward probably just wipe out Carmine.
And it's the skirmish power that the likes of the Gnar, that the likes of the Lee Sin, that this Swain bring. They are so difficult to take down in those minor engagements. And if Game Ward are winning out in the skirmishes, which has been Carmine Corp's thing this entire series, then that doesn't bode well for a team that was favoured coming into this matchup.
Game's not over yet. Series not done either. Zeri very good at late game scaling. The Gwen can be a monster in team fights. Cabo and Reckless need to hoist themselves from this pit that they are finding themselves in right now and start to put up the performance needed to keep them in the LFL. Keep their chances alive. Melonic dashing forward, 2v1.
About to go Mega here on the Gnar. I've seen this play before, and Melonic was able to get out that time, but this time he may not be so lucky. Cabo Shard with the kill.
Really good play by Carmine Corp down on the bot lane. Overloading a little bit at the exact right time. Seiken not quite able to find Akabane. But they get themselves a numbers advantage around a very crucial timing. This Drake spawning in 30 seconds time. Melonic will be able to teleport down if Game Ward wants to contest it. And I think that they do. We look at that item spikes being hit. It's just an axe. It's not third item for a Jinx. But with that Gale Force, with that Phantom Dancer, you know that this Jinx has that safety and the damage to boot. PD, one of the best items, the best Zeal item for putting up raw DPS for single target. Herald's used and Melonic's TP comes through. Carmine Corp now trying to struggle through this mid lane.
Yeah, mid lane tower has just been taken down, and not just the Phantom Dancer for Inax that is key. Level 11 now on Chekalad. That Demonic Ascension is going to take this Swain to a point where it is so difficult to match him. Neither of these top laners have TP, so if Game will want to force a play around this mid lane, it would be a 4v4. We've already seen how well they do in those. Flash from Camillus. Seiken responding with a summoner spell of his own, but he's going to get kicked back into the dredge line. Chekalad, though, going to get charmed up by Hanteras. It's actually Carmine Corp that have got a better end of this play. A shutdown, but a double knock-up into a wall secures the first reset for Inax. And he could keep going forward. 2 kills for Game Ward.
Now the question is, who's going to go for this dragon? Neither jungler available, and doesn't look like either one of the teams particularly happy to go and try and flip that objective. One fight for Game Ward, but now Cabo, he's got the angle. There's another flank as well. Pantera's here.
Yeah, there is absolutely nowhere for Melonic to go. He's going to hop back, though. The Gnar gets him out of that sticky situation.
Hyper proc plus the double jump from the hop, just enough to keep him out. Swifty boots as well for this Gnar also. A lot of safety in and built. Seiken thinks that he's safe there, but catches the wrong end of a resonating strike. Fortunately, he buys enough time from the walls that he doesn't get kicked all the way over. And Hantera does such a good job at stopping Game Ward from chasing down that they actually find a kill on one side. They get the one trade, but it's still a Game Ward big sweep. Reckless never able to really get into that fight. The split call and the split positioning from Carmine Corp costing them in that instance, and slowly but slowly, these advantages are starting to rack up for Game Ward. They are on match point, series point, EU Masters point. they find just a couple more fights, a couple more that go their way, they're going to be sending themselves to the International.
And Inax already 4-0-4 on this Jinx as Seiken. Having a dangerous game here. Nearly caught out by Camilius, nearly caught out by Akabane. But stays standing for the time being. Second the Drake of the game taken away for Game Ward. Not going to be too impactful in the moment, but they're looking at that Soul as a potential win condition to be all important.
Ocean Soul going to be so strong for any team that can pick it up. The staying power in the front line, the ability to deny just that first kill going over on either side. You're denying Jinx resets or you're denying Ahri resets. Both of those are so crucial, so pivotally important in these team fights. If you get that Ocean Soul and you get that ability to stop off in the team fight for just a little longer, you're going to be very, very happy with your team fight situation. Second Drake for Game Ward. We're still 10 minutes out from that Ocean Soul eventuality, but now with this Jinx who's nicely scaled up, all their attention's turning toward the Dragon, or towards this Baron now. Oh my god, potentially a little scared. Seiken TPing in there. Potentially just a little too early on for me.
Yeah, they're just sort of a bit of a pressure TP, I guess, to get you onto the map. But I want to touch a little bit on itemization here, Rude Dude. The Leandries picked up for Checolad in the mid lane. There's Camilla splashing over the wall, fighting engage onto Reckless. The Zeri able to get out just in time as 113 is being chased down on the top half of the fight. Akabane relatively low on the Lee Sin and Checolad. Already using that demonic extension. Those are some big tools taken away from Game Ward.
Oh, flash heal, lightning rush burned by Reckless. The immortal shield bow saving him from the assassination attempt from Game Ward. Very important that everybody lives there. We're on that pivotal timer now when the positioning of that fight, that Baron, could very easily be taken, broken the game open, and stop this game from being as close as it is. 3,000 gold, excuse me, 21 minutes into the game. Still an advantage for Game Ward, but it's nowhere near as sizable as it was maybe 5-10 minutes ago when they had the same semblance of an advantage. We're looking at Inax. He is your leading man for Game Ward. The second that Infinity Edge comes online, Game Ward's chances of winning this game double, triple, increase tenfold even, because the Jinx with that third item becomes so powerful. Despite all that, I love the pit stop. I love the stopwatch being picked up, because currently the one way that Game Ward lose is Inax dying. And even if that happens, it doesn't secure them a loss, but it makes it look a whole lot worse. Oh, just 22 minutes in, and they're going to start hitting onto that Baron. Cabo's got TP. He can join the fight if necessary. Game Ward, they want to force this.
Yeah, I think this is the players. They're finding an engage onto Hatera. That Zonya's by so much time as he may look for a re-engage now as Melonic is about to go make a camera shot. Diving forward, Seiken with the charm onto Inax, but doesn't quite take him out in time as in the front line. Checolad by so much time. A 1-for-1 mid lane is traded, but Cabo Shard is hunting for blood. The health bars in favor of Carmine Corp as Melonic dipping out of that mini foam. The fight dissipating, moving away from the Baron pit as neither team finds anything decisive.
And honestly, both sets of solo laners hard carrying the squad right there. We saw Checolad. I mean, okay, we didn't see it, but we're going to get a chance to once again. This is NX and Camilius and Game Ward just deciding they want to fight. They need to force a fight at whatever means necessary. Onyx on one side causing so much chaos. Checo in the front line is distracting all of Carmine Corp. Despite this insane combo from the Gwen, from the Ahri in the backline, none of the Game Ward backline go down. There was just enough stopping power from the Game Ward side to not get absolutely wiped. It really was all down to Checo, him staying in the front line, being that beefy boy. It stopped the follow through, it stopped Carmine Corp chasing, and it stopped them wiping out Game Ward.
1 minute to go until the Ocean Drake. Soul points available for Game Ward if they want to pick this up. Absolutely free if they don't have the position to get in to give this one away to Carmine Corp to let this one go over. But judging by that hook from Camilius, I don't think that's going to be the case, Rude Dude.
They've never shied away from a fight. Carmine Corp and Game Ward this series have really stepped to them on that
Oh,
marker.
charm onto Checo Lad as he's being engaged onto by 113. It's Melodic in the back line. Oh, he finds the dive forward. He finds the stun into the wall, and Kamashard cannot contribute to the fight. Already 2 kills. A reset secured as Reckless kicked in the head and kicked down. 3-0 in favor of Game Ward.
Dragon be down Baron on the table. Game Ward gonna head themselves straight over to the big purple worm. No smite, no AD carry. And Carmine Corp routed here. Their hopes and dreams of defending their EU Masters title slipping away little by little. Game Ward extending their advantage.
Yeah, 3 members hitting onto this Baron, trying to double dip as well as Melonic charmed, and they don't quite have the damage to take him out immediately. Camoshard slowed up by the Rylai's, and Melonic kiting with the Hyperprocs. The 2v2 goes in favor of Game Ward, and Carmine Corp recognize that and back away from the Dragons. They can't even get a consolation prize.
Rubbing salt in the wound there for Carmine Corp. The 2 versus 2 going the way of Game Ward. Now with that Baron, they will be able to reset quickly, get back out onto the map. They have double TP if they really want to secure this Ocean Dragon for themselves. But with this Baron, 2 turrets remain outside the base of Carmine Corp. Their Jinx has hit an Infinity Edge. Wee woo, wee woo! Big item alert. It is not matched by Reckless either, despite the 50 CS advantage. Despite all the gold that Carmine Corp can funnel into your enemy AD carry, nothing can overwhelm the ability of kills and assists. Inax has got 12 takedowns out of 13 for the team so far this game, and being a part of all those kills has got him to this breakpoint. Infinity Edge picked up. Stopwatch ready to go. Game Ward as a unit moved down into that bot side. Checolad used his teleport to just buy a little bit of time in that mid lane and make sure that there was that pressure point going through 2 lanes. Game Ward, if they can play these 2 mid and bot lanes successfully, control that bot side jungle, they're looking very well poised to send themselves to EU Masters.
That Infinity Edge may as well be an Infinity Gauntlet at this point in the game, because with a click of his fingers, Inax can make half of anyone's health bar disappear. Kamashard still split pushing on the top side of the map, but he needs to respond to this aggression from Game Ward. Otherwise, we're going to be seeing inhib towers falling.
Minino are happy to step up. Jinx, not so much. Double
TP.
hops available to Melonic. There's a TP behind.
Oh, Camillus not quite able to get himself away.
Great pillar.
The stopwatch burned. Gonna fire out the depth charge as well, as it's already 1 kill here for Carmine Corp as Kamashard is trying to 1v1 Checolad. Seiken moving over to help out his mid laner, and now Melonic going a little bit tough forward. The flash away from Seiken keeps him alive for the moment, but Akabane will chase him down, and Reckless is on the wrong side of the fight. Mid lane dead for Carmine Corp. AD carry dead for Carmine Corp. Akabane with the double, and Game Ward may have just done it.
They've got all 4 carries up and available. They sacrifice their support for the mid and AD carry. This is so worth. Baron at their back. Jinx is still alive. Cabo Shard and 113. They're the carries. They're the damage. They need to step up. Nexus turret's under fire.
On the precipice of one of the greatest upsets of League of Legends history. They're biding their time. They're doing this game by the numbers. Take out the mid lane tower. Take out the mid lane inhib. Back away. 1 more fight for Game Ward. It's going to take them all the way to EU Masters.
Take your time, Game Ward. You've done the hard work now. Dot your I's, cross the T's. 2 inhibitors down in Carmine Corp's base. There is going to be super minions flooding into their base every 30 seconds. Go to that top lane. Use the super minions as a 6th and 7th man that Carmine Corp have to respond to. And there's 5 people pushed down that top lane. This is the engage from Carmine Corp. A great pillar catches out Camillus. Can't hook out either direction. And I'm thinking here, okay, Carmine Corp, they've got a good fight. They've got Checo to burn his ulti in a non-5v5 situation. But it's Melonic, the start of the season prodigy, stepping up in the fight when necessary. Cuts off 2 members of Carmine Corp. And not just any 2, the 2 that you need to cement your lead. Reckless and Seiken fall. Melonic with the wise itemization as well has that force of nature already in his back pocket. Takes so little damage. Now Game Ward, not necessarily a victory lap just yet, but they are very, very close to sending themselves off to the EU Masters.
Taken down the mid lane inhib. You've taken down the bot lane inhib. The sole destination for Game Ward is top lane now as that inner tower falls down. Still a couple of minutes until the Ocean Soul. Still a couple of minutes until the Baron buff is available. And you have to feel with so much on the line that Game Ward, they don't want to have the possibility of a throw. They don't want Carmine Corp to have any chance to get back into this game. So forgive them if they play out these final few minutes potentially of this game a little bit slow, a little bit careful, a little bit considered. So much on the line.
The concern is now, without having that lethality, right? They could have probably taken a fight around that third inhibitor turret. They don't have to, they're not forced into it. They could have maybe gotten away with it and got the win right there and then. Now, though, Reckless has completed an Infinity Edge. The Void Staff is going to be online for Reckless, and Cabo Shard has completed Rabadon's Death Cap. These are big ticket item spikes being picked up by Carmine Corp, and this means that we cannot underestimate the dueling power that KC have in full 5 versus 5s. Setup is going to be important. If we see Game Ward take this Ocean Soul without a hitch, likelihood is they'll be able to take fights after the fact. The Grievous Wound is not existent on Carmine Corp. They don't have an answer to the Ocean Soul at present. The complete control, really, of that river, definitely in Game Ward's favour of the jungle. About 50-50 here.
And Terra jumping onto Akabane. Malonic about to go Mega. On the way, that Mega Gnar timing is big for Carmine Corp. If Malonic isn't able to find a huge Gnar in this fight, then maybe there is a chance that the back-to-back EU Masters champions will have a chance to defend their title. But as it stands, it's Carmine Corp.
And they can wait. They can wait, Middlecott. Look at the waves in the bot lane, in the mid lane. Super minions are pushing in. Carmine Corp are the one under pressure. They have to force this dragon, and they have to win the flip. They have to win the fight. They have to go everything their way.
1-1-3 going forward. Saken looking for a charm as well, but isn't quite able to find it. Checkerlad looking to buy some time.
That's Soul.
The red team, that's Soul for Game Ward, and the fight is in favour of Carmine Corp. They're actually trying to turn it around, but the damage, the item, the gold, it's just too much. Game Ward pick up 2 in the fight as all of Carmine Corp are routed. 1-1-3
TP's into the base.
Trying to escape, but it's not gonna happen. Where were you when Game Ward rose up and took down the back-to-back EU Masters champions?
They're going to do their victory lap now. Middlecott, the 2 Nexus turrets fall. Game Ward are going to EU Masters. Carmine Corp will not defend their title. And Game Ward, from no changes through spring, through summer, they stick with their team and they make it to the playing stage.
What